Discover the transformative power of Zen and the art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress on Transformation Talk Radio. Every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, Dr. Steve Simpson combines the principles of Zen philosophy with the techniques of neuro-linguistic programming to help you achieve your goals with ease and tranquility. Whether you're seeking personal growth, professional development, or improved relationships, this show offers practical strategies and insights to navigate life's challenges with a calm and focused mindset. Get ready to embrace a new level of success and serenity. Zen and the art of NLP starts now.
Hello, everyone. It certainly does start now, today, because one of our greatest gifts is probably the one you never think about. It's your gift of the massive power of your unknown unknowns. No wonder you don't think about them. I'm Dr. Steve Simpson, and you are listening to Zen and the Art of NLP on Transformation Talk Radio. Today's headline topic is the power of the unknown unknowns and the 1% of reality. Got 3 quotes for you now, which will give you something to think about, I hope. Do you know what the philosopher and psychologist William James thought about reality? Thoughts become perception. Perception becomes reality. Alter your thoughts, alter your reality. Quite a lot of NLP in that. Do you know what the author Lewis Carroll thought about reality? I'm not strange, weird, off, nor crazy. My reality is just different from yours. And do you know, here he goes again, our favorite guest on the show, scientist Albert Einstein thought about reality. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. So there we are. That's it. Makes you think, doesn't it? What is reality? And the source of these 3 inspirational quotes is from quotefancy.com. Stay with us for the next 30 minutes and let us help you experience that sweet spot of mind, body, and soul to embrace a new level of success and serenity, helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. Today, you'll learn how to turbocharge the massive power of your unknown unknowns and manifest abundant health, wealth, and happiness in all of their various forms. Because we inhabit a world brimming with enigma and fascination. An abundance of knowledge eludes us, and many phenomena defy our comprehension. But what if our reality extends beyond the tangible and the visible? What if a concealed 99% of reality exists, which is veiled from our senses? While this concept is challenging, it can also offer enormous benefits. It's a powerful tool for creating new ideas, achieving goals, and improving mental well-being. An excellent place to start is to post your questions and comments, and I'll do my best to answer them in the final part of the show. You can also call in live on our live call-in number 1-800-930-2819. Now, if you're feeling frustrated because you don't seem to achieve what you deserve from life when others do, the chances are that you've forgotten how to connect to your, guess it, unknown unknowns. Step 1 to fix this is to spend less time thinking about what you know and more time thinking about what you don't know, because this will help you understand that connecting to your unknown unknowns is your default state of mind, as it is with so many other things. We don't need to get in the way of it. So if a concealed 99% of reality exists, veiled from our senses, what if? Well, philosophers and scientists have been asking this question for centuries, and there's no easy answer, but a few theories try to explain what this 99% of reality might be. One theory is that 99% of reality is made up of energy. We all know that energy exists, but we can't see it or touch it. It's invisible to us, but it's all around us. This energy could be the source of all life and creation. Another theory is that 99% of reality is made up of consciousness. Consciousness is the awareness of oneself and the world around oneself. It's what allows us to think, to feel, and to experience life. This consciousness, it could be the source of all creativity and all intelligence, and many people think it is. But irrespective of its nature, the 99% of reality remains a realm that we're only just beginning to fathom. We're merely skimming the surface of its potential. As our understanding of the universe and ourselves deepens, we may unravel the 99% of reality and its profound influence on our existence, but not anytime soon, if ever. And maybe that's good. Here are some of the implications of the 99% of reality. It could mean that there's more to life than we can see and touch. It could mean a spiritual or metaphysical dimension to reality. It could mean that we're all connected in some way, and we've said that a few times already on various shows. It could mean that we have the potential to do more than we ever thought possible. And my experience is that people can do more than they give themselves credit for or thought possible. Step 2 is understanding the many valuable benefits of connecting to your unknown unknowns and why it's worth you spending a bit of time and your effort trying to get your head around this. The 99% of reality, a riddle yet to be solved, is also a beacon of hope. Even though many things are beyond our immediate perception, never underestimate the positive energy that shapes our destiny. It underscores our interconnectedness and hints at our untapped potential, reminding us that we can transcend all limitations. The unknown is a vast and mysterious place with good and bad possibilities. It's a place where anything can happen and where everything is possible. The unknown, maybe because of this, it can easily make us feel lost and alone. However, it can also be a place of excitement and adventure where we learn and where we grow. Because the unknowns are part of life. It's something that we all face at some point. We can either be afraid of it or embrace it. If we choose to be scared of it, it'll control us. If we choose to embrace it, it can be a source of great joy and discovery. So here are listed some of the benefits of embracing the unknown. It can help us to learn and grow. It can make life more exciting and enjoyable. It can help us overcome our fears. And these benefits often lead to bursts of creativity, new projects, and answers to our most profound questions. If you're afraid of the unknown, I encourage you to at least try to embrace it. It may be scary initially, but it can be an enriching experience. It often is. The best way to connect with me, and I hope you do, is to check out my website, drstephensimpson.com. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter and discover plenty of other free stuff to explore, including the Zen Doctor and the Poker Genius podcast channels. There are also some great books, hypnotic audiobooks, and coaching programs to purchase if you're feeling rich. I confidently recommend, as you would expect, the Hypnotic Ring of Confidence audiobook because it comes with 28-day email support. If you have questions, I'll reply and I'll be with you on this journey, so you will not be alone. Therefore, there are no excuses for not completing the 28-day program. The Hypnotic Ring of Confidence is a veiled collection of universal truths that I've found most useful and my clients have found most useful to appeal to the unconscious mind and can be applied to absolutely anything and anyone. To remind you, you are listening to Zen and the Art of NLP with me, Dr. Steve Simpson. We're going to take a swift break very shortly, but before we do that, take a moment to think about these 3 questions, and I ask them every week because they're important. What is the one thing that you desire the most? What's the one thing in life that you desire the most? What is the one thing that's stopping you from achieving it? Stopping you from achieving it. Okay, you've probably spent a lot of time already on questions like that. This is the third and the last one, which is a bit different. What's the one thing that you want to share with others? really give this one some thought, because this can really be the nugget of gold. Because when you start to think, what can I do to help others, you're putting out a positive frequency around the world, and that's guaranteed to resonate with at least one person on this planet, and a lot more. And you will be rewarded. That's what I see in people anyway. So when we return, step 3 is the important one: to learn how to connect to the massive power of our unconscious, to our unknown unknowns. So here we are, helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. Stay tuned, because we will be right back. And we are right back. I hope you enjoyed pondering those 3 big questions during the break, especially question number 3. So, as I promised, step 3 is learning how to connect to the unknown unknowns and release their infinite power. Trust me, this is a lot easier than it might sound. Not starting with, it looks like we're starting from a difficult place. The electromagnetic spectrum. Yes, you remember this vaguely from school. You didn't understand it then, and you probably don't understand it now, and neither do I. But what I do know about it is that the electromagnetic spectrum has all of the frequencies of the universe. And on the little chart that you will have seen, on one end of this huge spectrum, there's the huge waves, the long wavelengths. These include the radio waves, which can stretch for miles and kilometers in each direction. And the other end of this spectrum is the microscopic and very small wavelengths. And these are things like ionizing radiation and other forms of radiation, and things that are very bad for our cells. In the middle, as if by coincidence, there's this little bit that is called visible light. That's what we see. On this huge spectrum, we are confined to something like this, which is the 1% of reality, if it's as much as that. So our other senses are the same. We've only got 5 senses that we experience our version of reality. Our version of reality comes from what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we smell, and what we taste. So what about if some people could expand their broadwidth a bit more? What about if we all could do? Well, I think we all can do, and I'm going to explain how in a little bit later. But it could be that some people who haven't even thought about this, like artists, for some genetic reason or some accident of upbringing or whatever, they see more than we can, and that is why they know how to use the colors and the images of their wonderful paintings. Now, another way of saying roughly the same thing, and this is quite popular, and I find it a useful model, is to talk about levels of consciousness, because a big part of my work with people with elite performance coaching is not so much telling people how to fix things, but telling them how to understand what's going on in their mind at any one time. Because if you know what's going on, you're ahead of most people. And by doing this, by having this awareness, your consciousness will start joining the dots together. Anyway, so we've got levels of consciousness. Right down at the bottom, let's say that's the weeds, that's the swamp, that's the part our reptile brain lives in. Well, we don't want to spend too long there. It's not a particularly comfortable place. Too many mosquitoes, too hot, too humid. So if we can rise above that, then life becomes more pleasant. And there are various levels that people describe. And the very top ones, you only get there really by putting an awful lot of trench work into this, by spending months or years as a hermit, by going to a Buddhist monastery. You've really got to devote your life to your consciousness, to your high level of consciousness, pretty much to the exclusion of everything else. And that's for not for most people. Most of us like to have a balance in life. So, but we're all capable of bringing ourselves up. And if we're not careful, we're all capable of our thoughts allowing us to bring us down again. So when you feel yourself going down, take a deep breath. I know what's happening here, but it doesn't have to be like that. Remember the first quote? It was something like your perception becomes your reality. So change your thinking, change your level of consciousness. And the key, as always, is to have a quiet mind. If you've got a buzzy, busy mind thinking about a million things at once, then these deep signals from the wise part of our brain are not going to get to the high level of our conscious thinking and where our ego is. So how do we get a quiet mind? In this world where it's far from quiet most of the time. We're all multitasking. Some of us are doing 2 or 3 more jobs at the same time. Pretty difficult. These are things that we've talked about before on previous shows, and I'm sure we'll talk about them again, because these are like universal things that over the years people have adopted. Breathing exercises. We weren't born as babies with a manual of how to breathe properly. We did a pretty good job at it. But as we get older, breathing seems to get a bit more complicated. It's not the breathing that's the problem. It's the kind of thoughts that we're having in our mind. Like when we start worrying about things, even though what we're worrying about is imaginary, certainly not part of our reality, when we start worrying about things, then there's a physiological response because the body is preparing itself for trouble. So it starts breathing faster and faster, and the breath is shallower and shallower. So really, actually, even though the body is kind of looking for oxygen, it's not finding it. It's quite the opposite. So breathing exercises, they all specify breathe a little bit more slowly, breathe a bit more deeply, and sit up straight in your chair. Pull your shoulders back because you're opening the rib cage and allowing your diaphragm, which is this muscle that never stops, helping you to breathe, take deep breaths. And you can imagine practicing through different breathing through different parts of your body. This is what sometimes people use this in meditation, because when people meditate, they're definitely aware of their breathing. They're bringing their breathing to a good state. Some people imagine breathing in through their eyes. Some people imagine breathing in through the soles of their feet and bringing the breath and the energy up and then down again in the out breath, through the stomach, through the heart. These are all tried and tested. Nobody says, this is the best. You have to do it this way. It's best to experiment and see what you find the best. Okay, let's say some people don't like meditating. Oh, I can't keep my mind quiet for 5 minutes. That's the common thing that I hear. Okay, all right. Well, most people enjoy reading as long as it's a good book. So if you've got a good book and you want to connect more to your unknown unknowns, then put yourself in a nice, comfortable place and start reading this book, because then you will be living in the bubble. You won't be aware of the time. You won't be aware of anybody else who might be with you. You won't be aware of the noises around you. You're just engrossed in your book. And the same comments apply to watching a good film. And this is why books and films have been popular for all time. If you don't have a book handy, or you can't have access to watching a film or a video, then go for a walk in nature. Because if you do, study everything around you, but all the natural things, not the skyscrapers, but anything that's living, the plants, the birds, the fish, whatever it might be. Because all of these things are very different organisms. They've all got their place in our universe. And it makes you think, how on earth did all of this happen? And people talk about Darwin and people talk about creation. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think we've got the full answer just yet. So let me give you an example of how this is a metaphor really for raising your levels of consciousness and seeing the big picture, not the 1% right in the middle of this electromagnetic spectrum. I might have mentioned this one before, but the first time I visited Australia a few years ago, I ended up where many tourists and many new settlers to Australia go to, which is a place in a suburb of Sydney called Bondi Junction. It's on the top of a hill. You have some great views, and And you can walk to that iconic harbour area. It's a good walk. You can walk to the famous Bondi Beach, of course, which is not very far away. And there are other smaller, more secluded beaches. So it's a great place to be. It's got shops, it's got restaurant, it's got a really good vibe to it. So, and I don't work for the tourist industry, by the way. So anyway, when I was staying in Bondi Junction, I was staying in a what we call a serviced apartment. It was a big apartment, and it was a very tall building, about 30 stories high, I would think. And I was about halfway up. So I had a great view, and I was there for Christmas Eve actually, and I had a lot of friends who wanted to come around to my room that night because it was great watching the fireworks. Anyway, the fact is that more importantly, it has, as many modern hotels do, it had a glass elevator, a glass lift. And so you could go up if you chose, if you're feeling brave, up the outside of the hotel, all the way up to the 30th floor. And if you didn't like that, then there were the conventional elevators in the lobby you could catch as well. Anyway, I liked the glass one. And something hit me, this was kind of a mind pop out of nowhere, an epiphany moment. As I was on the ground floor level and the doors closed, I could see everything going on around me. And a lot of it wasn't very, traffic, pollution, exhaust, noise. And I thought, well, I wouldn't like to live on this street all the time. So as the elevator starts to move up, every floor you go, you're seeing more and more of the big picture. And you're raising your levels of consciousness. And when you get to the very top, 30 stories high, you can see way beyond Sydney, and you see how the country's kind of organized, the way the railway lines go. You can see the planes stacking up to land at the airport, and it seems like they're almost at your height. Well, they're not. They're above your head, fortunately. Anyway, levels of consciousness, and you can do this in your imagination. You can imagine you're floating high in the sky. It doesn't really matter. And the secret to all of these things is practice regularly, because the more you practice connecting to the massive power of your unknown unknowns, the easier it will become. It will become automatic after a while. Okay, we've got a question or two which I can get around to, and the first one is from South Africa, from Andre in Cape Town. I've been there a couple of times, beautiful place. And he wants to know, when we talk about reality, does everybody experience the same thing, or is it personal? Good question. And I don't really know the answer, so I'm guessing here. I'm basing my answer on a little bit of biology and physiology. Really, the 8 billion of us on this planet, we're largely the same. If you study our genetics, our genes, our chromosomes, we have individual variations, skin color, hair color, eye color, all those kind of things. Some people are tall, some people are shorter. But if somebody came from another planet, they'd say, yeah, you're all human beings. So that's we are. But are the personal, or is it personal? Does everybody experience the same thing, or is it personal? Well, I think there's going to be individual variation, largely the same thing, but everybody's going to interpret the same situation in a different way. And the police know that, of course, because when they're taking statements from a road crash or something, they may interview 10 people, and 10 people will each give them a slightly different story. So I hope that answers your question at least a bit. Gustav from Munich wants to know, is there only one actual reality, or do we live in parallel universes? Now, I've been hearing a lot about this movie, The Matrix, recently, and I don't know whether that's what Gustav's talking about. But what I can say is that the quantum physicists, or some of the experts in quantum physics, they say that our current knowledge of the law of relativity and quantum physics are not they're not compatible, that there's something else out there. And there's something that they describe as string theory, whereby let's say imagine a slice of loaf. Each slice of the loaf has a different set of physical rules on it. So they all think it's crazy, but they say, well, it doesn't matter. The more we study these things, it's still the only show in town at the moment. So we might have parallel universe, more than likely. Courtney from Sacramento wants to know, do we have free will? A deep question there, and very only time for a very quick answer. I would say in our 1% of reality, we do have a degree of free will. Outside that, probably very little. So now it's time, my favorite bit of the show, for Zen and the Art of NLP top tip of the week. Now, you've all heard of the elevator pitch. This is another story about an elevator. That's the 20 seconds when standing next to the CEO. It's your one chance to sell yourself. If you're lucky, this might work. However, your chances of success are much higher if you practice your elevator ride to the top of the building, particularly if you're having a challenging day. This is an easy way to a lot more success with a lot less stress. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a great program lined up for you on the same day, at the same time, and at the same place next week. Be there and invite all your friends. That's enough from me. Hope you have a great week. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. In the meantime, embrace the unknowns, and goodbye for now.
You have been listening to the Zen and Art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress. Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we dive into the depths of your unconscious mind and awaken your intuition, unlocking hidden talents and supercharging your personal and professional relationships. Continue embarking on a stress-free journey towards unparalleled success by subscribing to future episodes and stay updated on the latest content. Easily share these captivating shows with your loved ones and create meaningful connections. Book a personal session with Dr. Steve Simpson to delve deeper into the topics that resonate with you. You can visit his website at drstevensimpson.com.